the 10th, 2009.
December the 10th.
Today is December the 10th, 2009. We are at the home of Mr. James O'Connor in Lake George, New York. My name is Wayne Clark. I'm the interviewer. I'm with the New York State Military Museum and Veterans Research Center in Saratoga Springs, New York. Sir, for the record, would you please state your full name and your date and place of birth, please?
James Michael Joseph O'Connor.
And where and when were you born?
I was born on May the 7th, 1921, I think, and in Brooklyn, New York.
Did you attend school in Brooklyn?
No, my grandfather bought the general store in Long Island, in Oceanside, Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
And he made it into, it was like a big grocery store. It even had gas lights in it. It had no electricity. And that's when we moved to Long Island.
Mm-hmm. And you attended school in Long Island?
Attended school in Long Island, yes.
All right. And did you graduate from high school?
Graduated from high school.
Oceanside.
Did you go on to college at that point?
No.
All right. And do you remember where you were when you heard about the attack on Pearl Harbor?
Yes, I was. I worked in Roosevelt Field as an apprentice to being an engine repairman on aircraft, which
Mm-hmm.
were not too great at these. And I served an apprenticeship for an outfit called Lou Dates. And then I worked for them, but we didn't get paid. We were just worked.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Did you do any flying at all?
yes, we used to fly the planes, but then the things weren't as strict as they are today.
Mm-hmm.
That you had to have licenses and stuff. At that time you were supposed to, but it was a little different area.
Uh-huh.
And that's what we did. We flew with the pilots, and we piloted ourselves for a while. But I wasn't there very long when, and we were put up in a home which had 4 rooms, and we were served.
Excuse me. That was in Georgia, honey. They sent you down to Georgia.
What?
They sent you down to Georgia, sweetheart.
Yeah, we were asked to go to Georgia if we wanted, because the people came aboard Long Island to check the aircraft that was on the field.
Mm-hmm.
No one had any idea why, but evidently they were trying to find out where they could get some aeroplanes at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked as an apprentice there, and I did learn the trade. And one day they said that they're going to go to
Douglas.
we're going to go down to Georgia to teach the Army how to fly.
Mm-hmm.
Not as us personally to teach them, but to be the mechanics to take care of the aircraft and all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did. We went down by bus, and we went to, what do you call it? We went to Douglas, Georgia. That's
Mm-hmm.
where we went, Douglas, Georgia. That was Raymond and Brinkerhoff had put up an airport there to teach the Army how to fly.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked there. While working there, we stayed in a house that had 4 rooms, and each man had his own room. And we ate there. We had to go to eat to the school teachers were being fed, and that's what we were getting fed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was $1 a day. So, and one morning I woke up and turned on the radio. Of course, there was no TV.
Mm-hmm.
Turned on the radio, and they said Pearl Harbor has been attacked. And that's when everything went crazy. Everybody tried to do different stuff at the time and make the fields better and make the planes get up on the plane. You'll see up on there. You'll see a plane that was like what we do, and from there I decided that I would have to go into some service, and I decided to go to the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
And I went down to.
Now, why did you pick the Marine Corps?
I don't know. I thought it was the tougher of the groups, and I just wanted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried, and I went down to enlist, and they wouldn't take me because I was underage. So I had to go get my parents' permission to join the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back to Long Island, where we were living, and I got my mother's signature, and I went into 90 Church Street in New York, and that's where I filed for getting enlisted. And they said they weren't really ready to take us immediately, but they would in January.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we enlisted, January. And that was the end of that.
Okay,
In the Marine Corps.
and when was that? Was that in 1942?
Yes.
No, it would be what, 42?
January 42,
42.
sweetheart. Yeah.
Still 42, yeah.
Yes. In other words, the
41
attack
is
was
when I went in
1941.
there. Okay, 42.
Oh, okay, and where did you go for your basic training?
We went for basic training into,
Was it Parris Island?
I would say Parris Island, yes.
Okay. And what was your basic training like?
Our basic training was cut pretty short because they just went over stuff and tried to find out who was going to go where and what they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I had a tough time because I'm left-handed, and firing an Springfield 03 was pretty tough to fight left-handed. So yeah, tried to get us to go right-handed, and that was kind of almost impossible.
Uh-huh.
So, but anyhow, that was at boot camp that this went through. So after boot camp, we were sent out to go wherever we were going to go.
No, weren't you sent to Tent City,
Pardon?
sweetheart? Weren't you sent to Tent City for a while?
I can't hear you.
Weren't you sent to Tent City where there were all these tents and everything? And that's how you became a machine gunner? Wasn't that why they made you a machine gunner? Because you couldn't?
You're confusing me.
Okay, after basic training, whereabouts did they send you?
After basic training, we went to Tent City,
Mm-hmm.
which was in North Carolina.
Okay.
And Tent City, they transferred us to the new ship cottages like they set up
Okay.
for the people. And that's where we served the thing, and it was cut short.
Mm-hmm. Now, did they train you on the machine gun there?
No, they didn't. There was just all rifle stuff going on, and then it was when I got to. I'm having a tough time remembering today. Where did I take machine gun training?
Well, let's see.
Let's see what's there.
I didn't have much training with machine gunners.
see, you went into combat in August, but before that, it says you were with the 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines, 1st
Right.
Marine Division from July 11th, 42 to January 15th of 43.
I remember. What did we go? North Carolina.
Well, let's see.
Yeah, get it in the book.
All right, let's see.
There are
I'm
blanks today.
referring to your.
Irene.
Okay. You from the tent city. Did you go out? Did they put you out on the ship?
No,
Okay.
put it out where on the ship.
Well, it's. I'm just looking at your book here. You were on your way to Guadalcanal. Says August 1942.
Before
And you were on a ship.
I was on going over. We were on a John S. Erickson.
Uh-huh.
Going when we got there, I was on. He was on the USS. I was on aboard the USS Macaulay.
Okay.
Because it was a Barnett, it was a Elliott, and a Macaulay. That was going overseas.
Okay. Do you recall when they sent you overseas? In whereabouts you left from?
We left from Tent City, actually, but there was the Quonset huts.
Uh-huh.
That's when we went to go, and we went on to train, and we traveled through the country on the train, and we got to.
You probably left from California somewhere.
Was California, but I was trying to figure. We got to where the ships were tied up where it was almost Chinatown, and
Was it outside of San Francisco?
Was it Treasure Island?
yes, probably.
Treasure Island.
Do you think it was Treasure Island, honey?
Treasure,
Was it Treasure Island, do you think?
Treasure Island, no, Treasure Island. The Marine Corps base there was maybe it was Treasure Island. That's where we came back to. Was Treasure Island.
Okay, and so you left to go overseas.
We left to go overseas, and it was like in California, like in Chinatown, it was where the boats would dock.
Okay.
And this was the Kunz Home was the name of the ship, and I think it was, what was it? It was
Swedish, I think.
Huh?
Was it a Swedish ship or Norwegian?
I don't know. Greta Garbo had a suite on it. We know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They had confiscated it.
And it was, and we got on that, and we started out to go. We know where we were going.
Yeah. Did you get seasick at all on board ship?
The aboard ship was horrible.
Yeah. What was it like aboard ship?
Aboard ship, we finally got like soup in a can. It was not very much food aboard that ship, and as I remember, everybody had dysentery, and it was an absolute mess. We did almost decide between ourselves to go mutiny, but we never just did.
Uh-huh.
Because the other boats that were in our
Conroy.
whatever
Convoy.
boat,
Convoy.
in our group, the general gave orders to just behave yourselves, and we will see when we get there what happens.
Now, did you go overseas with the whole unit, the whole division?
I believe so.
Yeah.
There were quite a few boats going, and they were all in formation. And the general was not on the boat itself; he was on another boat, and he turned over.
Did you end up landing in Hawaii at all?
No, we
No?
went straight to. That was not a memory day. Brisbane,
Australia.
Australia.
Oh, okay. What was it like in Australia? How much time did you spend there?
Not too much time.
Uh-huh.
We spent about 10 days, I think. I don't know if it was 10 or 12, but I think it was 10. When we got there, the whole thing was lit. The whole docks were all lit in bright electric lights.
Mm-hmm.
But when they let us go ashore, every place was closed in complete darkness. All over was dark. And you had to go in a door, and there was a carpet or whatever to shade it. You went in and opened another door, and then you went into a restaurant.
Oh, so they had like blackout
Blackout.
lights.
Complete blackout. I mean, and this we kind of thought was a little funny because the docks were lit up like Luna Park.
Uh-huh.
You got to wiggle your way into a theater or any place else. You had to go through a routine to get into the place.
Now, how did the Australians treat you?
Australia treated us very well. I have no complaint. They were fine. And see, I get stories mixed up with which one was where after and before. This is hard to remember, except for the diary, which was gotten taken by somebody. But anyhow, we had 10 days, I believe, we were there complete. And the people were great. And the guys had to unload one ship to put it on another.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I get to a point where I don't know.
Did you receive any extra training there at all?
No, the only extra training we had, and this is what I don't want to say, is that we worked through the day and through the night, loading one ship onto another ship for 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
This is...
Okay. And once that was completed,
we worked, we had to do this, and we worked 4 or 5 hours on, 4 or 5 hours off, but you still worked. One of the ships caught fire, had to put them out, and then we thought the whole place was going to blow up because they were carrying ammunition, and but it all worked out. So, but anyhow, that was for the 10 days. That's all we did.
Okay.
Load and unload ships. But as soon as we hit the deck, we were told stay aboard, and the brass got a hold of the people that were on the island. And to my knowledge, they arrested the people that were on the ship that brought us over, because it was not a military ship. and I believe they locked them up. I don't know what they did with them, but then the Navy took over the ship, and then we got off. I mean, but they held everybody on the ship until they took it over.
Okay.
So that was the end of that. And we went into a bivouac area,
Mm-hmm.
and then didn't stay there long. We went back and lived on the boat that we were supposed to go on, and now I was on the USS Macaulay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and whereabouts did you go next? Do you recall?
One night, as Liberty was over at 1 o'clock, I had been out to the town and just about made the curfew hour.
Mm-hmm.
Got aboard ship, and then no one knew what was happening. We were pulled out into the harbor and tied up in the harbor for the night. Then the next day it proceeded to go on. No one really knew where.
Mm-hmm.
And we practiced landings, I think, in the Fijis. And we knocked the boats, the bottoms out of the Higgins boats, because it was reefs, and weren't known about.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of cut us down on how many boats we would have to go ashore. And we didn't still know what was happening or where we were going.
Uh-huh.
Had duty at night and stuff, got taken care of different places aboard ship. And it was pretty hot. all these guys sleeping all over the place. I mean, they were all real areas. So that was that. And then on the day before, this is all in the book, the day before we were to go on the island, we were told where we were going. And that's all in the book that says that we were going to hit the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And
Do you recall the name of the island?
I think you called it Guadalcanal.
Guadalcanal.
Guadalcanal,
I'm
yes.
pretty sure you did.
Yes.
Okay. What was that like?
Well, that was like kind of hectic. The boat pulled up, and the cargo nets went down,
Mm-hmm.
and you went down with the cargo nets to the Higgins boats,
Now, did you have a full combat load?
a full combat load. I mean, which was, machine gun was pretty difficult going down that 40-foot net.
Mm-hmm. Now, what kind of machine gun was it?
But model 1917 A1 used in World War I.
Oh, so was it one of those big water-cooled?
I'll never forget that.
Oh boy.
Model 1917 A1 used in World War I.
Oh.
But when we got down to the Higgins boats, they were to go ashore. But in the meantime, the North Carolina was broadside to the island. As we were going down, they were bombing the island, and they throwing the shells in there, and you could see the trees coming up out of the ground, and the airplanes were flying over from probably I don't know where, but they were flying over. And the next thing you know, we were to go into the beach. Some of them went in on gliders, which they called them, which you jumped over the side. The other ones, the newer ones had the deck at the front went down and you walked off.
Was that the kind you went in on?
Yeah, but they dumped this water over our heads.
Huh.
So we got to shore, and the machine gun wouldn't work because you don't have a machine gun. You only have a tripod,
Yeah.
which is 51 pounds. When the assistant gunner has got the gun, so the gun gets all wet. So as soon as we thought we were going to drown, we decided that we weren't going to drown and got up. We went ashore with a pistol.
Oh, so
45 pistol.
so did the gun end up on the bottom of the ocean?
Yeah, and it was tough to get out. We both thought we were going to drown. The whole boat thought they were going to drown. But the action on the beach was not that heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now, were you on the first wave that went in?
I don't really know which particular wave we were on. I think we were pretty close to first because, but by this time, the ships did a good job and the planes did a good job. They came from other places, actually. We don't know where they came from. And they bombed and stuff, but you could see the trees popping up out of the ground and stuff of that nature. So it was really bedlam on the landing.
Yeah.
People running here and there. Nobody knew which one was which after a while. But from then on, it was going. We had taken the island actually, and we had to go through to get further in to catch them because they started to run, more or less move out.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it was a surprise to them that we were there, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And
did your unit suffer many casualties?
we never knew how many casualties we received because we were always being transferred around from one place to another. The only guys that really stayed was the gunners, the assistant gunners, and the water carriers. Right, because we had 9 men in the squad which would carry water and stuff. Carrying water for a machine gun sounds ridiculous at this age. I mean,
yeah.
But that's where it was.
Now, did any of that group of 9 get wounded? You were with?
Nobody that we knew of, because it was a dilemma going in. Nobody that we knew of. We got going, and we were supposed to go to Grassy Knoll, and we started to make out to go to Grassy Knoll, but it got dark. I mean, we landed at the beach in the morning, and it's almost nighttime, and at night there it's prolonged in whatever month it was as far as daylight goes. But daylight seemed to last a long time for us in the tropics. So we traveled on through the night until one fella started out screaming from behind, "Captain Putman is unable to continue." And we were continuing in not a military order. We were walking with one man's hands on the other guy's shoulder in the front of him because you couldn't see where you were going at all. And the next thing you know, the guy was gone. Then you were gone. You fell about 30, 40 feet, I don't know the exact footage, down into a dried riverbed. And there we were. The only thing I remember was my sergeant, Sacktime Evans, said, "Throw the machine gun on the floor and lay on it. Don't use it in this trench." That's the only thing I remember that I had to do. But they said scouts out, and nobody wanted to be a scout. Right? So, but a couple of guys decided that they would go up, sent two up on one side and 2 up on the other side. And the password was given. I think I don't know what the password was at that particular time. That's in the book. But when they got up there, I forget to tell you that we had changed helmets. They gave us helmets that came down by your ears. The other ones were the old
World War I helmets.
Right? And they got these helmets, and the password was given out. And as these 2 fellas were on one side, 2 fellas on the other side, they were back to back when they started, turned around and went out 10 paces to see what was out there because we had no idea. So They turned around and came back. And when they came back, one man, this was on a right-hand side of the hole of the scully. The man asked for the password, and he didn't give it to him because he gave it to him, but he didn't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So he shot him, and that was when we had a casualty right off the bat. One of our own men got shot.
Oh.
So they put him down in there. And we carried that guy for 7 days. I mean, we never thought he'd live, but he did. 7 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, what did you have to eat during that time? Were you carrying K rations or?
Nothing. The K rations we had were all probably demolished at that particular time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Did you see the Japanese at all? That you were pursuing?
We saw them running away, moving out from the beach area. This was the first night. I mean, nobody knew anything was going on. It was on our way to Grassy Knoll, which we got to Grassy Knoll, and it was a mountain almost. I mean, you couldn't make it up there anyhow. So things had to be changed. Now the word came to go back to the airport. Because to try to go back to the airport. And that's what we did, is try to go back to the airport. But we marched, and it was extremely hot. We were not used to this particular hot, and no, heat rather. And we started back, and that's what we did. We got back to around the field, and then everything was done over again. Everybody changed all their plans and it's signed to us. And there's a map in the book where we were assigned to what place but that didn't last for long. You got transferred all around wherever there was any activity, and there was always activity of some kind, because the airport was not finished, and we couldn't get planes on it. So we were, I don't know if it was 5 days or 10 days, without any air support at all. We were asking for help, and we couldn't get it. But I later find out that this was not supposed to be one.
Did you mention Hendersonville?
You mentioned the airfield.
Did you give the name Hendersonville? Jim?
So that's where it stops. Then we had to stay there for all this time, without food, without ammunition, hardly low ammunition. And then it was over and we left.
Now, what about, did you have any problems with like tropical diseases at all? Like malaria or dengue fever?
I had malaria, yellow jaundice, and guys were eaten up by bugs and stuff. Their legs were in horrible shape, and it was a tough campaign. But,
did you explain to Mr.
I can't hear you.
Did you end up in the hospital with your malaria?
On the island, yes. Yes, I did. And I was out for a couple of days. But see, hospital is a word, not a tent.
Yeah.
In other words, a tent had sides you could get out and sneak out, things of that nature. But you had fever. I had over 104 fevers. So, but you get over it in a couple of days and you go back to work.
Yeah.
Did you mention that it was Hendersonville that you were supposed to be trying to protect? Hendersonville? That was the airfield?
Hendersonville?
Hendersonville, that was the airfield that you were trying to protect.
Huh?
Weren't you guys trying to protect that?
Yeah,
Well, sure,
he mentioned, he
protected
didn't mention the name.
Didn't mention the name.
You can't do much to protect it. I mean, to protect it is if they came in And they did. One battle was they came in up the Tenerife River, and that was the first one, I believe. And, I mean, this was kind of funny. After we beat them out, killed them all on the beach, the tide came in and took them out.
Mm-hmm.
And we were glad to get rid of them because we didn't have to bury them at all. But they came back the next day 5 times their size because the next day or two they were swollen up like so big.
Oh, you mean the
now
tide brought them back in?
The tide brought them back in, and we had to bury them. So we buried them on the beach.
Did he ever refer to the enemy as the Japanese?
Mm-hmm.
He did, okay.
Yeah.
So that's about it.
Okay, now where did you go after Guadalcanal? Do you recall?
We went back to, what's the capital? Oh God.
Oh, did you go back to Australia?
Australia, we went, yes.
To Sydney?
Sydney, right, Sydney.
Okay.
Yeah, and they put us up in the cricket stadium. Can you imagine this cricket stadium with all seats in a row? And they put an army cot on one of the seats, and that's where we stayed for a while, for a day or two. I don't remember how much. I don't even know what it says in the book.
Okay.
And then we went to a camp area where they set up tents, and we worked in that. But I lost a lot of that. I didn't pay too much attention to because it was nothing. I know we had to go to hospitals and we had to go here and there, and they'd take us by truck.
Mm-hmm. Okay. After you left Sydney, what happened next?
I don't know if it was Sydney or not, but I'm going to say it was. Boy, I got a bad memory today. I can't think of the ship's name right now that we went home on, but all of us didn't go.
Mm-hmm.
They picked people to go home. I was not one of them.
Uh-huh.
And that night, I went to go on Liberty. And when I got to the guy at the gate, or out where to go out, they said, you can't go out. Just pulled me aside. They called up to headquarters or whatever it was. But one of them was down there anyhow. And because I was completely yellow, I had yellow jaundice.
Oh.
So they said, you're going home. So that's when I got home.
So how did you get home? Did they put you on a plane or a ship?
No, we got on the ship, and it was a big ship. Had a swimming pool. They were all full of stuff. They didn't go to the pool inside of water, and then they had supplies and stuff in them.
Uh-huh.
And geez, I don't know the name of the ship.
So the guys that were on the ship, were they all sick mostly? Or wounded?
The guys that were on the ship, everybody from Oz was wounded, sick, malaria, had to go home. But there were prisoners on a thing, on a boat, and there were also intelligent people somebody had caught someplace. And I don't know why the boat didn't come right home or start for home for the United States.
Mm-hmm.
It went back to Australia again. In other words, the two Australias, Australia and what was the...
New Zealand.
Huh?
New Zealand.
New Zealand?
New Zealand, I think.
New Zealand. Went back to New Zealand
Mm-hmm.
And they picked up more prisoners. And then we left from New Zealand to come home.
Now these were, what kind of prisoners?
I have no idea. We're not privy to any of that information at all.
Okay.
And we didn't know why they were going. They took us from there to the main island. What the hell was the main island?
You mean New Zealand, honey, or?
New Zealand? Yeah. They put us up in a cricket stadium. And that's when we were found out that I had yellow jaundice.
Okay. So when you were sent home by ship, whereabouts did you land in the States? Was it in California again? Or?
Treasure Island.
Okay.
Treasure Island. And that was great. I mean, to see a bathroom that's different from a ship, of course. The ship had good bathroom. And to get really good food. And the ship still had good food, but this was altogether different, a different setting and everything else that they get home on Treasure Island.
Okay.
So I immediately got out and went to the phone and called home.
Now, were you still sick at that point, or had you gotten better?
We were considered supposedly sick, but I was just yellow at this time. I had gotten over some of the fever part of it. And the only thing that I had, one guy had was 6 machine gun slugs in his back. And they wanted us to go back to in California, the base.
Treasure Island?
No.
No,
Dunlop.
Camp Pendleton? Was it Camp Pendleton, the Marine Corps base in California?
I think so. But I didn't get too much involved in that. But I did get involved with the brass in
Camp Dunlop?
yeah, and told them that you couldn't do this. They can't go to Pendleton. They can't go to Pendleton. These guys are sick. And one of them's got these slugs in his back. And I don't know how many he had left, but they had to still take some out. And so then this officer, I mean, I think had a son that was hurt in the island. I don't know if he was killed or not. He decided that this was going to have to change. These guys were going to not go back to Pendleton, to go back overseas again, because he had to go Alfred going back, and you're going to send these guys back. It's ridiculous. And this is what happened. Then he finally found out the way to put. I wanted to go back in the Air Corps, and we had to take tests, and they wanted to send me to what do you call it?
Was it
They wanted to send me to radio, in other words.
Okay.
So they said I would be better qualified for radio, flight plane radio. Right. But I said I didn't think I wanted to do that. So I went to engine schools. I was put in the Air Corps. But first I had to go out to
I think it was
the
Camp Dunlop.
desert.
Was it Camp Dunlop, Jim, where you had
Camp
to go into motor transport or
Camp
something?
Dunlap out in the desert. We were all set out there. And I had my sergeant who was with us. He got put on first to get him to leave the canal. And Sack Time Evans was his name. And he stood up in the thing, and they asked us to come out in full uniform with medals. Nobody had a medal, nobody had a full uniform. I mean, so, but that was all. And without Trotter, Sergeant Trotter he was with us. He met a fellow in the quartermaster corps who they had gone to boot camp with, and he went so. But the officer wanted everybody to come out with medals. Nobody had a medal, so it was just over. That's all. And we stayed there. It was in the desert that we were in the hospital. I was operated on there for. They couldn't find out why I was sick, and I was put into jail because I was. Could I stop for a minute?
Sure.
I'd like to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
We're rolling again.
They're rolling.
Do you want to relate the story about the Japanese colonel that was captured, and he thought you guys had automatic howitzers? You want to tell us about that incident?
I can, but I mean, I don't know if it's somebody will deny this. I mean,
No, I don't think anyone will deny it.
they'll say we were crazy or what.
Well, do you want to
Because
tell?
well,
I thought
yeah.
that was
Well,
very
I took
interesting.
this. I got the picture of this guy. So I'm coming off in the woods, and when I was down. What the hell was my captain's name?
I mean, how would I? I don't
Well, he
remember.
worked. He and I went to we didn't know that.
Was it Chauncey Laughlin?
No.
No, that was another one.
He was. That's a other story.
And you mentioned too that this colonel thought you guys were a suicide squad because of all of the noise you made.
When you landed and fell into the.
Oh, that was when we were in a ditch
Yeah.
at night in the first landing. I mean,
But with this Japanese colonel, when he was being
Did
interrogated,
I say about why we stayed there in the bottom of that the captain Putman could say you can't continue when it came all the way from the back line.
yeah, well, you have already
I'd be
done.
unable to continue. But anyhow, that's
See, I was telling Mr. Walsh before when he went to, that when they had captured this Japanese colonel, that
he said
that incident, yeah.
he said he wanted to see the automatic artillery. You know how many automatic artillery? He says, yeah, it was going boom, 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 boom. So I don't know how, I can't actually back this up myself with seeing it for sure, but I was told that they lined the houses up in a line, and they'd fire one and then fire two, but they'd fire one right after the other all the way down the line, and it sounded like it was a machine gun artillery. But it wasn't. It was just individual guns being set off one after another.
And then the other one about when the night that you landed, that they thought you guys were a suicide squad. That one.
That right?
The
Yeah,
Japanese
that's when they all fell in the
all fell in
the hole. They were making so much noise.
and the Japanese thought that you guys were a suicide squad.
And,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
left.
They said one of the guys said that they had us completely surrounded, and we were making so much noise they thought we were a suicide outfit trying to suck them in so that somebody else could take them from behind. We were just confusion, that's all. But that's true.
They had you surrounded.
Yeah, they had us surrounded.
They
He
could
said,
have wiped them right
this
out.
guy that we took in, he came walking through the woods one day, and I was down on the last battle was on that river, But that's something I can't say too much about because I was in the hospital with a 104 temperature, over 104.
Now, you guys slept on the ground mostly?
Right?
You guys had to sleep on the ground a lot?
Oh yeah, we slept on the ground all the time. I mean, until about halfway through the campaign, did we never had a bed. We had some stuff to sleep on, but we used to sleep, especially down by the Guadalcanal River. We slept, and during the night you could hear all night long, the bayonets hitting the floor, hitting the ground. The land crabs were coming up and crawling all over. The guys are killing land crabs.
Now, did those land crabs bite?
Yeah, they'll bite if you annoy them. So you never know, but they crawl all over you. It's really scary. I mean.
Now, what about snakes? Was there a problem with snakes too? Or scorpions or spiders?
Don't start it. This, in the middle of the night, all of a sudden, the screaming starts out you just can't believe. And we say, somebody shut that guy up. It was an officer. Way back up in the hills away from us, you could hear him all the way down. I would say from the lake to here, you could hear him screaming. He got bit by a tarantula.
Oh,
That's what he kept saying. He was making so much noise, we would say, for crying out loud, shut up, somebody's going to attack us. I mean, do you know where you are? Because it's pitch dark.
Yeah.
He was an officer that was surrounded and screaming. Some bug must have crawled on and he thought it was a tarantula spider.
Oh well, you
So
know.
that was, you could hear that all over the whole place. Because once it got dark, everything was quiet. There was no activity anyplace. So you can imagine if you're sitting out here and there's nothing around you, it's quiet. Just even if a cricket made a noise, you'd hear them.
Now, did you guys dig foxholes that you crawled into at
come
night?
on, don't go into that. What do you do with a bunch of guys that are hanging around doing nothing during the day, waiting for somebody to attack them, waiting for something to do? And the officers know these guys are going crazy. So you dig one hole, you fill it in, and then go someplace else to dig another hole. I mean, that keeps you busy. But it wears you out too. I mean, you know, it keeps you physically fit, I suppose. But that's what we had to do. Yeah, we were, and a machine gunner has got a hell of a job. He's got to dig a place so this wide at least. And he's got to leave this much in the middle to put the gun on.
Yeah.
And he's got to leave enough room for him and the assistant gunner on the side feeding the belt. So you got to dig a pretty damn big hole again. And that's really a job. And every time he said dig a hole, we'd say we were sick.
Now your daughter mentioned a story about you ran out of water for one of the machine guns.
No, that's not nice.
You don't want to tell that story?
No, I don't want to tell that story.
Okay.
I mean, have everybody wet. No.
Okay.
Yeah, this stuff is worse than that.
Okay.
We had an Italian boy. This is you're not going to say, but
Don't, no.
Huh?
Maybe you better shoot.
no,
You want me to turn that?
try that away.
Okay.
He'll just tell us to you.
Now, let me ask you something. Do you remember where you were when the war ended? Were you in the States yet?
Jim,
I'm trying to think.
Well, sure you were in the States,
I
baby.
remember when I was in the States, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Okay. Were you in school at all to learn? You said you were going. They were sending you to radio school.
No, I didn't go to radio.
Okay.
What was the question?
Where were you, sweetheart, when you came home?
Well, I
No,
asked
that
him.
isn't the question.
Where were you when the war ended? When they dropped the atomic bombs?
On Japan. Where
You
were you?
were you still in the service at that point?
Yeah, because that was August of
45.
45. Yeah, he was, let's see. What do we have here?
His discharge was.
He was discharged in 46.
Oh, okay.
January of 46.
Okay, so you were still in the service.
Yes, when the war was declared after they dropped the atomic bombs.
Well, you were there.
Yeah, I was there, yes.
Oh, okay, so you were with them.
No, we were married in April
Okay.
45. And then I was I was aboard a troop ship. Because he was shipped down to
I'm
back.
telling that story.
Oh. That's how I got to Chicago when he was transferred to Chicago
Oh,
to,
okay.
to go to this aircraft school, which was the jet engines.
Okay.
So he studied jet engines there. So I went with him to Chicago.
Was that where you were when the war ended?
No, I had come back home. We had come back
Okay.
home. But Jim was still in the service. He was down in, I think, Cherry Point. Yeah, he was down in Cherry Point by that time.
Cherry Point, North Carolina?
Mhm,
Cherry Point.
That's where he was discharged from.
Okay. So once the war ended, did they ask you if you wanted to re-enlist at all?
Oh
Or?
yeah, they practically wanted. They almost begged me to stay there. Because by then, I was in the hangars, you know, and working, and I had. They took me. They thought that I was an idiot. I think when they put me out to keep me busy. They gave me an old SPD and they told me to remodel it. Right?
Oh, gee.
I did. And it flew too. And they were surprised. They said, "This guy's nuts."
Now, what rank were you when you were discharged?
Tech sergeant.
Okay.
And then the one with what the hell is his name? Sheeby, Joe Sheeby?
Joe Sheeby, yes.
Joe Sheeby had a plane that they took off from the
This is in Cherry Point.
Cherry Point. And every time they got up in the air, they gave it a shot on to get out quick, and it would sort of stall back, and then it would take off.
Mm-hmm.
So they did everything to that plane. So the one day, I'm standing there talking to Joe Sheeby, and I said, "Well, how are you making out?" He said, "Well, they're going to change the engine tomorrow." I said, "You're crazy, change the engine tomorrow." He said, "Yeah." So I said, "Oh, all right." So I went to sleep, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up, and I go over to Joe Sheeby's, and I shake his hand, and I said, "Get up, we're going over to the hangar." He said, "What for?" I said, "We're going over to the hangar." So we go over to the hangar, and I said, "Now take the cowling off." Took the cowling off. I said, "We got a big long thing with a hook on it." He said, "Yeah." I said, "We can make one." So I shoved it all the way down the thing, and I pulled it back out, and here come a seagull. The seagull was in that
Plane,
from the front where the opening is on the bottom where the gas, the air comes up to the engine, and there was a seagull in there. And every time they pushed it out, the seagull would, it was dead, of course, but the wings would go out like this and cut the engine off. Right? So we pulled it out. They saved an engine. I saved an engine that day.
I don't know what made him think of it, but you know.
I don't know what made me think in the middle of the night.
Huh.
And ironically, just a little thing aside, when Jim and I were married in April.
Joe
of 45,
Sheeby's dead, too.
Yeah, of course, Joe died a couple of years ago.
He's gone.
But he was one of Jim's groomsmen.
Oh.
And
But
met
he
one of
wasn't
my
on the
good friends
canal with me. He
No,
was,
no,
I met him in the,
in Cherry Point. He met in Cherry Point.
but
And he married
my
one of my
what do
good
you
friends
call
at
it?
the wedding.
This
Oh,
thing,
really?
This thing is still on. I mean, this is
No, that's all right.
You'll cut
No,
that
no,
off because
no.
you won't. I mean, you don't.
No. These are interesting stories.
Oh, gee, but
This is,
No, I mean that is really a good story
about the seagull.
being stuck in the intake of the.
Yeah.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
now they're smart with it now.
Oh, sure.
One ship went down, and the guy, I
In
don't
the
know if he
Hudson
brought
River?
it, that was
Oh,
the
yeah.
one who brought in the
recently.
Hudson.
Yeah. I'm
That's
gonna-
a common thing now. I mean,
Yeah.
they fly in sections and
Yeah.
evacuate.
I'm going to stop the tape, and I'm going to put another one in. Just take a few more minutes because I want to ask you about.
Okay, whatever. And the water was this high in the mess hall. It was coming in.
And
Why-
that's on the
why-
ship, the
why was-
Macaulay.
Well,
Why
that was
was
when
the
you
water
when you were
coming in?
going over, Jim. When you were on your way.
Why was the water coming in?
Uh-huh.
We were going 40 feet from the wave. It was in a typhoon. And the only two guys eating breakfast.
Were you in the
The
ship?
cook and myself. Everybody else was throwing up all over the place. But what was happening? The tanks broke loose in the hole.
Uh-huh.
And they broke loose and they go up against the side of the ship with the gun. The gun would go like fold up like this, and the ship started to leak.
Oh my God.
Oh.
So they brought two other boats. I don't know who the hell they were. Put one on each side of us. Through line, not rope, rope, but about that thick around on this ship. And they were holding us there. And we were going up and down like this. It
Really?
was unbelievable the way the water was coming over into that ship. The pumps were running, pumping out. They thought we were going to lose them, Macaulay. We lost the tanks. I mean, there's no weapons, no guns on them left. So that took the tanks out. But that was a hairy thing. Down 40 feet, back up the hill. because
No wonder everybody
they had
was
they
seasick.
had
No wonder they were
two
seasick,
ships,
that's
one
right.
on each side of us, with rope holding us.
Uh-huh.
So, but we never thought the Macaulay would make it home, but it did.
Cool.
It was
Shot.
going to the island, so it was loaded with these tanks, you know.
Boy, and ammunition.
So they
and
didn't have
everything.
any tanks to use. Couldn't get them off. It was a crazy campaign, I'll tell you.
It was a very crazy campaign, yes.
Now, once you were discharged, when was he discharged?
In January of 1946.
January of '46. Did you go right to work, or did you go to school, or what did you do?
I was out of work.
Okay. Did you
I
sign?
went down to get a thing, and you don't know me. I'm an independent guy. I told
Mhm.
you. And I went out. They were having me too many questions and stuff in this place, and I walked out. So here I am. I'm unemployed. Oh, that wasn't the time.
They had this, what they call the 5220 Club.
No, I walked over to the, what do you call it? But I said, I'd go down to see if I could get a job at the airport. Right, where this guy just dumped his plane into the drink.
Yeah.
That's the airport that I went.
LaGuardia, I
Huh?
believe. I think it was LaGuardia.
I went in there, and I went up, took an interview, told them where I was, told them I was in the Air Corps and the Marine Corps. Didn't make any difference. So they were paying $1 an hour, $1.15, $1.20, something like that. So I walked out. And as I was walking out the door, some guy hired, Jim! And I went back over to him, I forget the guy's name even now, he remembered mine. But I had worked with him, you know. he said, what the hell are you doing? So I told him. She says, come on back, we're going back up to it. So we went back up top, and I got the job.
As what?
Yeah,
What were you doing, honey?
Huh?
What were you doing? What had they hired you to do?
What was I doing?
Yeah.
I was just working in a job.
No,
a
but
repair job.
What?
We were working in the repair shop.
Oh, okay.
And that was
In
when
LaGuardia?
Huh?
In LaGuardia Field?
Yeah,
In
LaGuardia Field, yeah.
Were you working on passenger planes?
Yes, yes. And no, it's like that when I gave hell to the guy that put a boot for the de-icer,
Mm-hmm.
and they gave the kid a boot. Another apprentice, they gave him a boot, and he was out there going to put it on the airplane. And I said to the kid, what are you doing that for? He said, they told me that I have to do that. I said, come on, we'll go back to the guy. So I went back to the supply guy. Now, what are you giving this boot for? He said, why? I said, because there's no holes in it. Well, you got to put the air in it, but you got to release it too,
Uh-huh.
you know. So that's what I said. So then I just worked there for a while. And the next thing you know, they wanted me to be a radio man aboard in flight.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to be in it, so I walked out of there. I don't know why I did that, but I remember somebody showing me a piece of property and said that this would be a good place to build a gas station. So that's what I did. I quit. I went out and built the gas station. But I don't know how long I worked there.
I don't think you worked there too long, honey.
I did.
No, you didn't.
Well, pay was
Did you join any veterans organizations at all? Like the VFW or the Legion or?
That was the start of the default. I said, joined the Veterans as Foreign Wars. And they were supposed to write me something. Why did I want to go to the doctors?
I don't know, sweet. I can't remember now.
Well, why I wanted to go to the doctors because of MS.
But we didn't know you had MS at that time.
I have MS,
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know it at that time.
multiple sclerosis.
Okay.
So, I don't know why I just did it. Quit.
Did you
We now belong to the Marine Corps League.
you do belong to the Marine Corps League?
Yes.
I belong to it, but I've never been to their new house yet.
Okay. Did you stay in touch with any of the guys you were in the service with?
No,
Just Joe Sheeby,
No.
that's all.
never. The only one was Joe Sheeby,
yeah.
but he wasn't in my outfit.
No, he-
Never have I met anybody that's been in headquarters squad, not headquarters, that's what I was in before, into, the hell was it?
Well, most of the men that he was
Third,
with,
I was in the 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines, actually,
Mhm.
that's what I was in. But I've never met anybody.
So you probably never attended any kind of reunions or anything.
Once in a while, I think I attended some meetings, maybe 1 or 2 or 3, maybe, but that's it. And I even thought I would start, and when I went down to Florida, I would start in there. And I went to one meeting and I walked out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not that too much.
Okay. How do you think your time in the service changed or affected your life?
Oh, I think it did. I think it did. I became out with the survival of the fittest. I mean, that's. I became independent, and see, because my father died when I was a young man,
Mm-hmm.
and mother remarried later on, and the guy was a good man, and so that was it.
Now, did you have any brothers that were in the military at all?
No.
No?
No, I only have a half brother. I was the only child.
Okay.
My father was in Bellawood and Chateau Theory.
Oh.
And when he came home, he was a rough guy. I mean, he would fight you in a minute. I only had him till I was, what, about 7 or 8?
I think you were 9 when your dad
9.
died. 8 or 9.
9.
And then his mother remarried
So
a couple
he
years later.
came out, and I don't know if he had a tough time, but he was building boats. I mean, and that's was one of his boats.
Now, do you think you joined the Marine Corps because your father was in the Marines?
No, he wasn't a Marine.
Oh, he wasn't.
He was in the Army.
Yeah,
Oh,
Army.
okay.
And but they were only there for a short time. They weren't there that long. And I don't know. I became a hermit, really.
Mm-hmm.
and I just went in the funeral. I went into opened this little gas station after I left
Little corner piece of
the
property.
little thing. And it has a pot of ground. It was a V like this.
Mm-hmm.
Right off the bat, I have trouble. The guy next door is trying to close me.
Because it was
And I get-
residential.
I'm ready to get kicked out, and some guy pulls up in a car, and he stops, gets in, he said, "I'll talk to you." She said, "I understand you gotta go before the board tomorrow." I said, "Yes." He said, "You tell him this." And he told me what to say. He said, "But I don't know you, I'll never see you again." And he drove off. And I went to the thing to where we're gonna, what do you call it?
They were
A
going to
hearing?
condemn it. They're going to condemn the place. But it had been a service station before the war, but was shut down.
Oh.
And it was a nice little service station, but it had no, he had to work in a pit, like, you know.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't.
Didn't have the lifts?
It had, I don't know, I don't think you had any lifts, did you, honey? You
I
didn't
had
have.
it outside.
Yeah, everything was outside.
Oh.
He didn't
Outside. I worked on the cars outside. So anyhow, I get into court. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. So the next thing you know, it comes to me. So I said, I even forget, do you even know about the law of what do you call it, such and such and such and such? And the guy, recess.
The judge.
They went inside and they talked. And they came out and said, "Case dismissed." What did I say?
But
This guy gave me the right dope.
Uh-huh.
it had something to do with when returning veterans had.
Once the
privilege.
station had been closed
Yeah.
and a veteran came and took it over, it could be opened.
Oh,
So
good.
that was the law. So that's how I started.
Now, how did you end up in Lake George?
Well, I started at a service station, and then while I was there, I took a couple of partners, and we went into fuel oil business. But the partners just dropped out. They didn't like it because it was service at night and stuff. And then the fuel oil company built it pretty good, and they tried to change offices around. But then I got real sick,
Yeah.
and I had to have 2 brand new trucks, no way to pay for them, and I'm sick. And I couldn't drive.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to get somebody to drive for me and carry on, and I'm paying for them while I can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked out.
Well, we had neighbors who used to come up to Lake George, remember? The Balkers, honey, used to come up to Lake George and go to Joe Ganter's place.
Yeah, well, we used to come up to Lake George up here to see this guy who I didn't realize it, but I had opened the service station that he had closed.
Yeah, years and years ago.
And he went into the village of Oceanside. So I came here, and then I liked it up here, so I decided I'd give up my fuel oil business, which was getting to be dog eat dog in here, and I built some cottages up here,
Mm-hmm.
and we built 8.
8 originally, yeah.
We bought this part, then I bought the other part next door,
Now, did you build this house, or was
Yes.
it here?
Yeah,
Everything that you
well,
saw
I
there.
didn't build it, but people built
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
No,
With
there was
one
no.
guy, he's dead too. The guy that did the fireplace. He got the last of the,
Vermont marble. This is
Yeah.
Vermont.
yeah, because it was used all over.
Yeah,
The well
Wow.
went dry. So
N-
we
Now,
got
what year was it that you came up here and did all that?
1967, I think.
40-some years
We
ago.
opened up in 1969, the first section,
Oh, I see.
and then we kept continuing to build 8 more. So total, we have 24 two-bedroom houses. Then we built in 1980, and we got stuck with that 20% interest
Oh,
at that time so for your mortgages, you know.
yeah.
So then we built the terraces, and we had also built the 2 suites over there, but they were a restaurant
Mhm.
that we did.
I'm
So
going to go back in there.
you have to go back.
All right. Let me just. I think we're
Okay.
done here, and I want to thank you so much for your interview.
Wasn't too good.
No, it was excellent. Thank you,
I
sir.
don't think so.